afternoon, Sunday evening. So we're back for another chat and craft. I decided to pick up where I left off really last night. I was on live last night and I started to make a pumpkin, and it was going to be a green pumpkin. It was this loose wool and I shaped it to this. And you can see this is not a pumpkin shape. And what I've actually, someone in the chat said, hey, that looks like broccoli. I thought you were making something with broccoli. And I totally changed up what I was going to make. I said, you know what, that sounds cool. Let's actually do that. Let's make a head of broccoli instead of making a pumpkin. Just show a little bit of flexibility. And what I'm doing now is picking up right where I left off last night and crafting this loose wool, shaping it. Right now, I'm working on what will be the stem. And this is needle felting for anyone who's never seen it before. This is needle felting. It's a COVID hobby that I picked up. I've enjoyed it, though. I have at times done it aggressively, and then times I haven't done it as much. I've been much busier with polymer clay than I have with needle felting. But I'm kind of getting back into it, especially as I'm thinking about the idea that I could make some ornaments for my Christmas tree. A lot of felt ornaments look really good, and I can make a few of them. But right now we're making broccoli, working on the stem, just kind of working our way around. I don't know who created needle felting. It's an old craft, but I just, man, it's really cool. The fact that you could just, it doesn't seem like it should work, but it does. You can see the stem is now starting to take shape. And this is going to be the head. And I'm going to come up a little bit more, probably to about, maybe to about right here. So I have a bit more, do another line around to tighten down on what is going to be the stem. Hello. I have the boys outside. They're working on a project. There's this clematis in the backyard. It's a vine, and it has overgrown, covered some of the windows. And I gave them some shears and said, hey, go outside and cut the whole thing back, and let's get it down to the end of the yard. And so that's what they're out there doing. So if you don't hear as many kids, that's because Blakely's upstairs, my oldest daughter. She's upstairs doing homework. Her three younger brothers directly up under her are outside on a yard project, which I checked in on them just a few minutes ago. They're doing good. And the twins are happily watching Bluey. Okay. So what I'm doing here, this is some wool like this. This was loose wool from a sheep. This has been dyed. And I took a piece of this. I had two pieces this size. Took a piece of it, ripped it in half, started shaping it. And I was going to shape this into a pumpkin. It was going to be a green pumpkin. And instead, I'm going to turn this into a head of broccoli, because someone in the chat last night said, oh, I thought you were making broccoli. And I looked at it and I said, you know what? That's cool. Yeah, let me switch and let me make broccoli. So what I'm doing now is, this craft is called needle felting. Just crafting the wool, shaping it, and we'll have a nice little felt broccoli whenever I get done with this. Right now, just working on the stem. That's going to be the stem. As I keep going around, you're going to see it tighten up, because the wool gets tighter the more you use this needle in and out. It's a very sharp needle. It's a very sharp needle. It's a felting needle. There's little barbs on this needle, which grabs the wool and forces it deeper into the wool. And when the needle comes out, the wool that was forced deeper in, it's just kind of like, you see these pieces here, it's like it sticks the wool deeper in, and then when you pull the needle out, the needle comes out, but those threads, those fibers of wool will push down in there. It's kind of old school, but it's fun. It's relaxing. started this project last night in a live, and I have other projects I'm working on, but I kind of got into this one. So, let's go back to this today and finish. Well, I don't know if I'll finish it, but I'm going to work on it for a bit more here. I'm making broccoli out of wool. And what I may end up doing with this when I'm done, I'm thinking I probably may just throw a string on it, call it a Christmas tree ornament or something along that line. Or I'll hand it over to my twins. I have two twins, 2-year-olds. I don't have two twins. I do have two twins. It's always been odd. Do you say you have two twins or do you say you just have twins? I think it's just twins. But I have twins, boy-girl twins, and they're 2. And this is a completely safe toy or something for them to play with. It's just wool. There's nothing harmful in it. And so I may just hand it over to the twins and let them play with it, toss it around. They still find these type of things entertaining. You get that little crunchy sound. You don't hear it as much on the looser pieces. Like this is a very loose piece. Look at that. You don't hear that at all. But you start to hear it as it gets denser, and this is compressing down into that stem. Still have a ways to go though. But as it's compressing down, it's getting tighter. You can hear that, and you just kind of keep rotating it around to make sure your shape stays. I want this to be basically a cylinder, and to make sure it stays a cylinder and that doesn't turn flat, I have to keep rotating it. It's a cool craft, but if you ever decide to pick it up, I will warn you that at first you're likely going to hit your fingers with that needle. I have 2 pads. This is one pad, and then I have this other pad. These are different size needles. But right now, I'm still using a medium-sized needle. As it gets tighter, I will switch to a small needle, which is this one. And I don't want to work at this stage. No, it's not a crocheting hook. It's just a felting needle for needle felting. Go back to the medium. So you can see it's kind of taking on more of the shape. We're getting there. This stem, I still want to get quite a bit tighter on the stem, quite a bit smaller still. So there's still a bit more to do. Just keep tightening down. Leave the head loose and just keep tightening down, going around and get this stem tight. And that's pretty much going to give me the look that I'm looking for. Salute. So we had a good weekend. We didn't do much traveling this weekend. Blair and I did. We went to go pick up some barbecue for earlier today. I have a short vlog that's going to come out on it. More of a short. It's not. I didn't really film it as a full video. I just filmed a little bit on my phone as a vlog. We turned it to like a short and connected to an older video where we went and toured and did kind of a restaurant. Went to this restaurant and tried the food there a couple years ago. And it's one of our favorite barbecue places here in the UK. Now, we've had some good barbecue. I had some really great barbecue just the other day. And where was I at? York. I was in York just the other day, and there was a festival. And there was this place that had brisket. They had brisket tacos. And it doesn't sound like it's going to be delicious at first. I'm like, I don't know about a brisket taco. But man, that was the business. It was really good food. It was really good. I don't remember the name of the place, though. But yeah, that was in York. But more locally, there is a favorite restaurant, barbecue restaurant, and that's where Blair and I went. For the most part, I wanted to slow down this weekend. Last week was really stressful. Our vehicle, we keep having problems with the vehicle. Vehicle keeps stopping on us. It's been towed. We're not driving it right now. We're just driving a rental still. And so, that became an issue. It was really a stressful week in that regard. Vehicle died on Blair. We had just picked it up from the shop. We thought it was fixed. 10 minutes down the road, vehicle died. in the middle of a roundabout. And that was dangerous. Had to dial 999 to get out of that situation. Everyone made it out safe, and we got the vehicle home, called out a mechanic. Volvo sent out a mechanic. He worked on it, identified the problem, and now we just have to wait on an appointment to get the vehicle into the shop and get it fixed. But we've been dealing with this for a little while now. York is amazing. It's one of my favorite places to visit. It's a beautiful city. It has the city walls. Now, I will admit, I've been up on the city walls, but I really would love to spend more time on the city wall, just kind of walking around up there. But they closed them. The other day when I got ready to go, they'd already closed the city wall walks. So I couldn't do that. And I was actually late evening, so I didn't get a chance to go into the York Minster. But I spent a lot of time down in the city center, just kind of walked around and picked up some food. I actually filmed a video while I was there. That'll probably be coming out in like a month or so, maybe a little shorter, maybe a little sooner. I don't know. I have several videos from York. I will be heading back to York for the York Christmas market, which I've gone to the last. Now you see it starting to take on more of a broccoli type shape. We're getting there, right? We've gone to the York Christmas market, I think the last 3 years in a row, 2 to 3 years in a row. It's one of my favorite ones because you can head into the shambles and it just has this really cool medieval look to it, especially when the sun is going down, it starts their lights up. It just has this wonderful old English vibe. It's really great. York definitely reminds me the most of Edinburgh as far as English cities. And I can see that they're not that far apart geographically, but they both have that medieval vibe. Edinburgh is more Gothic, but in both cases, like a really cool place to visit. So this is a perfect example here. You can see I'm going around with the needle, and as I go around with the needle, it's compressing. Let me take the needle out. So I was just doing this. I was twisting and I was going around, and here's the line that I was just coming across. And here you can see I haven't made it to this spot yet. And you can see how it's still fluffy. And I'm just gonna go all the way around, and that will compress that down, making the head a little tighter. I wanted a bit more stem. I felt like the stem was a little short. And then I'm gonna add make tiny little balls and put them on the end for the broccoli heads. But I want the stem to be a bit longer. I feel like it's a little short right now. Also, I know how I'm pretty much decided I'm going to give this to the kids. No voodoo. Needle felting. This is wool, just wool, and then a needle. Wool and a needle. I won't say it's an easy craft to learn how to do, but it's fun. I enjoy it. And that's not to imply that it's hard, but the wool is a little hard to acquire. Michael sells it back in the US. You can buy it on Amazon. Unfortunately, when you buy wool off of Amazon, they don't give you a whole lot. They charge you a whole lot of money, and then they'll send you a tiny little packet like these. I don't know what you're going to do with that. They send tiny little packets like that. So you have to make sure that when you purchase it offline, like Amazon or someplace like that, that you're actually getting enough to be worth the time and the expense. And so I tend to buy in bulk. And here in the UK, sometimes I can catch wool on sale at a county show. That's where this came from. I think it was at the Leicestershire County Show is where I picked up a big chunk of this. It wasn't very expensive there. But if you really want to see good examples of it, don't look at what I'm doing. You want to see good examples of this? Go and look at Instagram. There's some really cool pages on Instagram. we point out flying ducks to Blakely every chance we get, and she's a teenager, right? She's and she still goes into denial, like she's like, those are not ducks. I'm like, those are ducks. They're flying. So what we need is a situation where there are ducks on the ground, and then said ducks take off and fly. Because if we spot them already in the air, I think fundamentally she knows that ducks can fly, but she's holding her ground on the idea that ducks do not fly. That was pretty funny. I've actually, I'm planning to do a lot more of those quizzes. I was going to do, so I have these chats, and then I was also going to do some different lives where I do more quizzes with the kids and, age appropriate questions, and just kind of run them through some quizzes. But I've been struggling to come up with what I can use as a prize, because my kids don't really want very much. You can't, we don't give our kids just money for the sake of giving them money. But like, what are the prizes? I'm trying to think of like what can be prizes for them. And since they're all different ages, right? I don't want to do each person get their own prize. It has to be something that will appeal to all of them. But I think that'd be cool if I could do that. Okay, so the stem is coming down a little bit tighter now, starting to tighten up. Still not looking great. Not super pleased with it. I'm going to do some different sections where I go through across the top. I'm going to kind of make sections there, but I'm still working on the stem right now. We switched needles to the smaller needle. It's a little finer, gets a little tighter. Yeah, I'm going to do more pop quizzes with the kids. I actually bought some buzzers. Now, the kind of buzzers where you press the button and they're all connected. Those things were expensive. I said, no, we're going to just do buzzers. You press the button and it'll make a sound. And then we'll hear who does that. So I'm excited about it, but I have to come up with a lot of questions to ask them. And it has to be, again, since it's going to be Matthew, who's younger, all the way up to Blakely, questions that are fit all of them, because that's what I'm going to have. I'm going to have the 4 oldest kids competing and just like different. When I was a kid at school, now this is very dangerous. What I mean by that is if you start doing this, you're going to hit your hand. It's almost wide enough to where you can kind of get away with it, but I just want to tighten the end up. But you have to slow down because I really don't want to hit my hand with this needle. I've been lucky over the last few times that I've been working with the needles. I haven't caught myself, but it does hurt, and it almost always draws blood if you hit yourself with the needle, especially if it's kind of hard. But these needles are very, very sharp. I cannot stress how sharp these needles are. So this is not a craft that is suitable for young children. Absolutely not. I will. Even before, when I was doing a lot more needle felting, I worked with it. My oldest daughter, Blakely, who is an artist, she worked with it. Trey, my oldest son, I let him do it a little more. But the younger boys, I will let them play with the polymer clay. We can do that together. But I don't let them touch these needles because kids just tend to struggle with not hurting themselves. So this is not, I would say it's not a kid safe, not a young child safe hobby. There are things that are way safer. And so they are flattened off that bottom. You just see that. If it was me or Blair, when we first got ready to move, we had not specifically pinpointed the UK. We actually started applying to jobs all across the globe. The first place I ever applied to myself years and years ago overseas was actually New Zealand. There was a job that had came open in, I think it's Wellington. I think that's the name of it. But there was a job in New Zealand that had came open many, many years ago. And I applied to that job in New Zealand. And that was our first time really thinking about moving overseas. Did not get the job. there have been multiple jobs that I've applied to and Blair has applied to as well. In Japan, I studied Japanese for several years, although I don't remember much of it now, but I got pretty good. At one point, I had a private tutor and studied Japanese. So I applied to jobs in Japan. I really wanted to go to Japan and never got picked up for Japan. We applied to several jobs on the African continent, just different companies, different jobs, just searching around.
Hi, Daddy.
Hey, baby, how you doing? Your face is dirty.
I'll help.
No, you won't help. Come here.
Yes.
Come here. You want your tablet?
I want this.
You want this? Okay.
I want this.
Which car will make it to the end?
Hold up. You want monkey preschool?
Yes.
Okay, take it back in the living room. Take it back in the living room. Good. So Kenzie has taken her brother's tablet and she calls it it's Matthew's. And she's like, my tablet. And I'm like, no, that's Matthew's tablet. And she's like, my tablet. So we will likely buy her a tablet. Not likely. We will have to buy her one pretty soon because she's just taking her brother's stuff. But back to ducks and swans are different animals. That is a true statement. And ducks do fly. That is, I am convinced of it. But no, we applied to jobs all over the place. And the original idea, because Blair's career more recently, before we moved over here, Blair was applying to a lot of places. And because her career field, what she does professionally, is more in line with, we thought, we'd been able to find a job overseas. And so we applied to a lot of different places. And I can't even remember when I applied to the job here in the UK, but I applied to that one. And then Blair applied to one. And that's what, no, I'm not going to take it to Blakely. I'm not going to be able to help. Come here. I'll do it one time. Come here.
Great. Raspberry. Great. Raspberry.
Good. Take it. If you keep going there, there you go. You lost your bowls. And so we got the job over here. And it's actually been great because I don't know if we would be able to stay in any other country besides the UK that is not English speaking. And I think that's why we've been able to stay so long, because the transition was a little easier because the UK speaks English, we speak English, and it makes it easy. We could travel all over the country, just go anywhere, talk to people here, Ireland, Northern Ireland, right? All across the British Isles. And yeah, I could speak a bit of French, so we could have done Paris. That would have been cool if we could have got a job in France. But I didn't see any positions in France when we were first looking. Okay, now hopefully it's starting to look a little more broccoli-ish. We're getting there. Now I'm getting a little too symmetrical, I think, with the stem, but that is what I wanted with the stem. It's still a little, right now I work in IT. Blair is in, what does she do? It's not as much IT. It's more like working in, what is it where you set up, what is it called? What's the career field called? Where you do all the meetings and you're scheduling like big events. And she does a lot of scheduling of events. And her job is way more complicated than mine because when she has to do these things, like these big projects that she has. All right, so now I'm gonna lay off. I would like for this stem to be tighter. I really want it to be tighter. I would like for it to be thinner, but in the meantime, it's pretty firm. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to just start to shape the broccoli head a little bit, because just put some lines in it. Make sections, just kind of section it off a little bit. I think that'd be cool. Just kind of section it off. You can see just kind of putting a little texture in there. But no, We really wanted a position in Africa, but we could never get those to work out. Southeast Asia. We applied to a job in Indonesia. Didn't get that one. We did get a job in Germany. And ultimately, we decided not to take that one. There's a couple of things going on to didn't take that one. Has anyone ever heard of the German stare? The German stare a lot. Okay, so a little bit of texture there. And now I'm going to set this to the side because what I want to work on is just start over here. This is going to be a bit tighter. Just, you see, loose. Yeah, I'll tell you the thought behind it was we were very successful in Washington, D.C. That's where I met Blair. And we were both working, had professional jobs. We had a beautiful home down in Southern Maryland is what the area is called. Beautiful home, 16 acres down there in the country. And had a farm, cows, chickens, ducks, dogs, the whole old McDonald's farm type thing going on. It was a lot of fun. And we did have ducks. And that's how I know ducks can fly. But I already knew that. But we had a lot of fun. But I looked around and we've been in the DMV, is what the area is called. That's DC, Maryland, Virginia. DC, Washington, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Those states all meet there at the DC. So it's called DMV. Locals call it that. And so we were like, wow, we're doing really great here. And we saw a point, and I feel as though we reached an inflection point to where we both were saying, we could stay here for the rest of our life. We have a beautiful home. We already had kids. We have good jobs. And we could stay here, no problem. But we both looked around and said, you know what? Because neither one of us are from DC. And over the years, a lot of our friends had already transitioned into other areas. Washington, DC is a bit of a transient city. If you know anything about the city, there's a group of people who stay there year round, their whole lives, like they never leave. And then there are people who come in with politics, right? So, the politics in the U.S. is constantly shifting. And so there are people who come in with one group of politicians and they're supporting one group, they're supporting one side. And then, they'll come there and they'll build a lot of professional, good jobs and stay and build up a lot of professional cachet, build up a good resume. And then they take that back to wherever they're from, Kentucky, Illinois, whatever state they're from, they go back home. And some people go back home and get into politics or, any number of things you can do. You come to DC, you build up a lot of good professional experience. And it also pays good salary, so you can run your salary up while you're in DC, then go back home and, but a lot of people do that. So we stayed there for a really long time, and we knew that we could have stayed and without a problem still continued to be successful. But we both started looking around and saying, hey, I don't know if I want to live my whole life in Washington, DC. It's a great city. We love it. We still consider DC to be home base in a lot of ways. When we go back to the States, the first place we go back to almost every single time is DC. We have doctors still there. We have friends there. So it's always even Blair's mother lives in the area. So it's always a reason for us to go back to DC. And that was a piece of wool. And now it is a tiny little ball. And I'm going to connect that to the broccoli head. But I'll need a lot more than just that one. Make that a little tighter. So we looked around and we said, hey, we want to do something a little different. And we decided that, hey, let's be adventurous. Let's live in a manner to where when and if we reach the end of life or get towards the end or we're too old to go about, that we'll look back and we'll say, we had fun. We tried things, we went places, we were adventurous, we explored. We pushed ourselves and we stretched there we go. Just like a nice little ball there. You see that. Okay, let's make another one. It's a little big, so let's make this one a little smaller. Just a little bit of wool.
My daddy.
What's up?
My monkey.
You're a monkey, huh? Okay.
This monkey wants.
No, take it back. Go ahead. And so, yeah, we wanted to challenge ourselves and we wanted some different experiences. We shut down the farm. We transferred a lot of the things that we owned. You have to be careful, baby, not to take it off the screen.
Victory. Oh, great. Victory. Victory.
Yeah. Yeah, Dad. Yeah, Judy. No, in my
Okay,
daddy.
go ahead. Go ahead, take it. Hey, Kai.
My.
So we wanted to challenge ourselves. We wanted some new experiences. And we wanted to look back on our lives and say we took some chances, we took some risks. And so we packed up the family, sold our farm. We made the decision to not keep the house because we weren't sure if we'd ever want to go back to DC or if we'd want to go somewhere else when we come back to the States at some point, right? So we said also, we talked to a lot of people who had lived overseas before, and they said, the worst thing that they had, the worst piece of advice they told us was to keep your home. Some people do, but if you're going to go, you're going to be gone for a while. It's really difficult to keep a home from overseas. And they talked about how that was the hardest part. They said, just if you're going to go, cut the ties. So you won't be looking back, worrying about property. And it was a nice property. So we'd be over here worrying about that. We sold the home, sold our place. But before we did that, we took the vast majority of our belongings that we could not bring with us overseas. We took those back down to Arkansas, which is a family farm down there, family property, my dad's place, my mom and dad's place. We took that down there. So we're talking about tractors, gates, lawnmowers. We had a lot of big, heavy duty farm equipment. And we're not getting rid of this stuff. We had wood splitters. I mean, we had all kinds of things. And my sister helped out here because her and her husband and some of her kids, they actually came up with their truck and a trailer, and we moved a lot of stuff. And then after that, because I had an F-250 and I had another trailer, and then I loaded up a lot of stuff and we did another caravan. When I say this, we're talking Washington, D.C. to Arkansas, which is 1,100 miles. So my sister drove up, her and her brother, her and my brother-in-law, her husband, their kids, they came up, they helped us clean up the place. They moved a lot of stuff for us. Then we did another trip afterwards. Blair and I got a lot of stuff together, things that we wanted to keep, and we moved all those things down to Arkansas. So, we have tractors down in Arkansas. We have other equipment, things down like that down there. Because there's no reason to get rid of this stuff. And it could be useful to the rest of the family if we transfer it to the family property. Hey, bud. So we did that, went through the process of everything that it takes to move overseas, which is extensive. It takes a lot to move to the UK if you're going to do it the right way. There's a lot of requirements. Unfortunately, we were doing this in the middle of COVID. There were COVID lockdowns. We needed to get our biometrics done, and no biometrics facility was open anywhere. So we made a trip 1,000 miles to go drop off some stuff. We went back to DC. We tried to do biometrics. We couldn't get our biometrics, like fingerprints and things of that sort. You had to do that before you can move over here. And we couldn't get it done. And so I started looking across the whole country, and we found a place back in Arkansas where we had just came from. We had just done a 3,000-mile trip, and we turned around and said, hey, we got to get our biometrics done. We want to get this done. If we want to go overseas, we have to get this done. And we turned around, and right after making a trip that long, we did it. Here, take it back to the living room.
This monkey wants.
There's one. She's gone. Matthew can help you. You want to see? So one is loud and the other is quiet. That's not a toy, buddy. You want to see what's in there? Just stuff. Put the top back on it. There you go. You can take it with you, though. Yeah, one's loud, one's quiet, but they're both here. Okay, thank you. So yeah, we got the biometrics done, COVID lockdown. After making a 3,000-mile trip, a week later, we put the whole family back in the car because when you're doing biometrics, you had to get everyone's fingerprints done, all of the biometrics for everyone. And we did a 3,000-mile trip. Again, we had just did a 3,000-mile trip. Go get Matthew to help you. And then we turned around and we said, hey, we have to get this done. And we turned around and drove 3,000 miles again, drove all the way back to Arkansas, which we just left because we did all our goodbyes with family. Like, oh, we're going, we'll see you guys later. And then we had to turn around and drive all the way back because that's where one of the few places on the East Coast that the biometrics was open. So we drove back and then we got to Arkansas and they couldn't do all the biometrics there. They would only do one person at a time. We had a family of 6 at that time. And so we did half the family in Arkansas, and then we had to leave and drive to Mississippi to get to another biometrics facility. There's the next one. Just a nice little ball. And after that, drove back to DC. And I'm telling you, it was an experience. And what did complicate it was the fact that we were doing it during lockdowns. So it's just really hard to travel, really hard to get around. Things were closed. You know, the news was horrible because all of the horrible things going on. That was a dark time. And so then we had to fly. Finally got booked everything, and we had to fly over here. And then we flew into the UK in the middle of a national lockdown. And we had very stringent and strict rules about what we had to do when we arrived in the United Kingdom. So let's say we got all of the paperwork done, all of the visas done, passports, everything's finally done. We land and we had to have a courier booked to meet us. And we had to already have a place identified where we were going to go. Actually went to Peterborough. And so we booked a place and we landed, went straight, collected our luggage, went straight to the courier vehicle. And from the courier vehicle, they drove us straight to Peterborough. And then we had to stay there in quarantine for, I think it was 14 days. So we went into the home and we could not leave the home for 14 days. Now, this is crazy because me and Blair and I have both spent time out of the country before, but never really spent that much time in the UK. I had been over here before. So we landed in the UK in quarantine, 14-day quarantine, us, our 4 kids, who were still in U.S. school because U.S. school was virtual. We said, hey, we'll just leave our kids in U.S. school. That was a horrible mistake. Circle back to that part. But we landed. We had no way of getting food. We had no way of getting any necessities. And we had to very quickly figure out how to do that in a country that we had no experience with. And Tesco to the rescue because we found Tesco and we were able to order food and things of that sort, all the necessities Tesco delivered, but it took a little while to get that account set up. We also didn't have British bank accounts, which is kind of hard to do unless you're here. It was a tedious. I'm not trying to make it sound like it was the worst thing in the world. I'm just kind of highlighting and talking about some of the early experiences that we had of making that shift overseas to move to a whole nother country. Our kids were still in school in the US. That wasn't bad. We should have pulled them out of school, but we're like, no, we don't want to. We're going to be in quarantine, so we'll be at home. But we didn't take into consideration the time difference. So they were starting class, I think I want to say around 4 p.m. in the evening and going to about 8 o'clock that night, local time. And it just was a really hard time. It was a hard period to transition through. But we survived it, right? And we got a place. We've been here and enjoyed it. So, but that first transition was hard. These are coming along a little faster. If you want to know what they're going to look like, these are the bigger, like the heads. So let's say like 1, 2. And I don't want these to be too perfect because I feel like if it's too perfect, too symmetrical, then it won't look natural. It won't look real. So this first one I did was a little big, and then you can see the rest of them, I made them a little bit smaller. And then it will take a lot, but then just kind of do like this. And then just put them side by side. And I want to connect them, but I don't want to deform them. So you have to be careful not to use. Oh, you have to get traded, Matthew, to show you how to do it. And so that's the idea. And just keep adding them all the way around. You can see how many more of them it's going to take, because this is 4 of them and it just covers one tiny little space. So I'm going to need a lot more, but it's fine. Just kind of work on it. It takes my time. Like I said, I may not finish this project on this live, but it's fine. I'll just keep working on it. Yeah, we were dedicated. We were committed to the move. And that is one thing you have to be, if you're going to do something like this, you have to be really committed to it. You have to be willing to walk away from everything that you know that is familiar and go into something that is, for you, unknown. And so that's what we did. It's worked out. I think it's been great. I have learned so much and been to so many different places. And I'll be completely honest with you. We first started traveling here. Now this big one, I got to figure out where to put. I guess I could just stick it right here. But it's so big. And unfortunately now I could take a pair of scissors and cut this in half. Or I could just continue to work around it to compress it a little bit more, make it a little tighter, but that's just a lot of work. So I may not try to make it a little tighter. And may just keep moving. But yeah, we've enjoyed it. Have we looked back on it? And I'm an avid gardener. My garden in my home before we moved over here was really nice. I spent years developing it. And I told Blair before we left, I said, the thing that I'm going to miss the most is the garden and the flowers and the flower beds, because I poured so much energy and effort into that over the years. I keep dropping it. Where'd it go? There it is. And I told Blair, I'm going to really miss that. And I miss that. And then we shut down the farm. We took our dogs to Arkansas. So we have a dog. She's a beagle. She's living in Arkansas. We had a poodle. She's passed away, unfortunately. She was in Arkansas as well. But the beagle's still alive and she's doing great. Chloe the beagle is in Arkansas, back at the family farm down there. There we go. And so I still want to tighten the stem up a little bit more, but I'm just going to keep making these balls, just adding them all around, and we'll see what it looks like. And it's the kind of thing to where it doesn't matter if it doesn't come out perfect. I'm not really upset about it. It's just something to work on. And I think I'll be happy with it no matter what I end up with. You do have to have a vision when you're creating something like this. And you try to hit the vision and you have your ideas of how to do it. It may not be the best way to do it, but it's what I'm coming up with right now on the spot. I've never made broccoli out of felt before. So I'm just having to, I think I've seen broccoli made out of felt, and I'm kind of imagining in my head what that looked like. And then thinking about, okay, what does broccoli look like? And then just shaping this wool to try to create in reality, the vision that I have in my head, which almost never comes out to be exactly the same. I may make more fruits or vegetables after this. And maybe something a bit more texture than this. I feel like this is, it's not the best, but it'd be cool to make something that has a bit more color to it. Yes. We have a little poodle. Our UK dog. Right now she's not at this house. We have her at another location. She's going through some training. And our US dog. It is very expensive to move dogs back and forth too. It's more of an issue, a time issue. But we have a French poodle that we went to Wales to pick up. We have a Welsh French poodle. Yes, you can definitely say that. Family of 9. And no, we never intended to have such a... No, go ask Matthew to show you. Go ask Matthew to show you. Or Braden. Braden can show you. We never intended to have a large family. It was not anything. I think, if you go back and ask myself, or if you ask Blair, did you plan on having a lot of kids? It's like, yeah, sure. But did either of us ever have anticipated having 6 kids? I don't think so. It's not something that we started out like, hey, let's have a whole lot of kids. We had one, and we knew we wanted more than one. At first it was a girl. Then we had a boy. And then that was the third. That's why he goes by Trey. Trey's a nickname. And we had 2. I was like, we had one more. And we had 3. And then and instead of following common sense and saying, hey, let's stop here. 3's good. We were like, hey, 3 kids is easy. And then we had 4. And then we're like, whoa, they more than double our numbers at this point. Maybe we shouldn't have did that. And so there we go. Just kind of keep adding these to increase. Now I can do 2 layers of this. I'm gonna start out doing 1 layer all the way around. And the division isn't coming through right now, but hopefully you can see that the broccoli head is now taking on like more shape. I could actually do another layer on top of this. I don't know if I will, but I could. Now, what I tend to do typically is on a project like this, and I have this green that I have that is kind of not a very consistent color green. What you could do is that you could take different colors and you can blend them together. So here's a different green. This is a lighter green, and I can actually take this and blend it just to get a bit more texture in here. I mean, it's not texture, but it's more color. And I just feel like this right now, this piece is so one note color wise that it's hard to see the difference in the variation and the different pieces. So I'm just trying to start working in a little bit more green, maybe a bit of this lighter color green, and we'll see what that looks like. If that can kind of maybe brighten it up a little bit. Right now, I feel like this whole piece is really dull. Yeah, sure. Of course you can ask me a question. That's what this is all about, crafting and chatting. So we're just kind of crafting and chatting here. Sorry if I haven't been looking up. If I missed your question and you have a question, please just ask it again. I'll look up. But I've been kind of getting, I can't look away and work with a needle, right? But yeah, if you have a question, go ahead and ask. There are people who maybe could look away and work with a needle. I'm not one of them. I would hit myself with this needle so fast. Hey, we got the Grinch coming in here. Come over here, Grinch. Yeah, look at that. Why do you have this on? It's not even cold enough for that yet.
I know it is.
I didn't have my jacket.
Oh, so you took this outside? Did y'all get the stuff hauled off to the end of the yard?
Well, we couldn't.
It's too cold.
It's too cold because
Okay.
we just got it all.
Where are the
done.
shears? Okay, it's fine. We can take it and throw it away on another day. Where are the shears?
Outside.
Go bring them in, please, because I don't want to leave them out there. I don't want them to get rusted. Oh, nope, no more kids after the twins. Do you know how hard it is to get 6 kids in a vehicle? No, we're done. No. 6 is more than enough. I think we've done our share to maintain the human species. We've done more than our part to make sure that the species continues. 6 is more than enough. I was mentioning a moment ago, we didn't really plan on 6 because we didn't anticipate that there would be twins. I remember when Blair called me, I think it's a video on this on the channel earlier, on the playlist, like we did the twins, like to talk about the twins and the pregnancy. And I remember when Blair told me, because I knew she was pregnant, but I remember when she told me that I was in San Antonio for a work trip. And she called me and she's like, "Are you sitting down?" I was like, "Why?" She's like, "I have news." I was like, "Okay, cool." Because I knew she was going to go to do the ultrasound. And I knew that this would be the ultrasound that she could find out, I don't know if, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that there would be more than one baby. That idea had not crossed my mind because we'd already had 4 kids in a row. Right. So here you can see this ball has a little bit more of a lighter green in it. And I just want to kind of change. Well, it's just a little bit. It's not much of a change, but maybe just enough still to justify adding in that different color. And she called me, and I think I was outside for a walk. And I was like, "Oh, fine." I was outside for a walk. It was beautiful. It was early morning. I was down there walking. Yeah, I was in San Antonio, walking along the canals down there, and it was beautiful. River, canals, I'm not sure which one it is, but it was a waterway down there. I was walking. And she told me that there are 2 babies instead of 1. And I was like, "Don't play." Thinking it was a joke or something. And she knew that that's what I would think. And she quickly had the ultrasounds prepared to send to me. And she sent me the ultrasounds, and there were 2 little squigglies in there instead of 1. And I was shocked to the extreme because I just was not anticipating that at all. I don't think either one of us were anticipating the idea of 2. Because in our head, we had this whole thing like, oh, we have one more child and it'll be cool. Just throw 1 car seat. And we have, just in our head, we had we had it all planned out. We literally had it all planned out. What do you want? Something to drink? You want something to drink? Trey, get Kai something to drink.
My feet are freezing.
Okay. Do you put the shears up? Where'd you put them?
I'm gonna put them in
Okay.
the table.
Go close the door and y'all go in. Good job. Go and sit down. Go warm up. Go, Kai, go with Trey. Go get you something to drink. Trey, go get Kai something to drink. So this is where we are right now. I don't think I'll be able to finish this. Thank you for saying that Blair and I are raising fine kids. We do try, and it is just like all parents. It is a ongoing, everyday work in progress. We don't have all the answers. Like every parent in the world, we're making this up as we go along, right? There are books that can help, but every child is different. Every situation is different. And you're constantly just trying to make the decisions that you think are best for yourself. And you're trying to be thoughtful about what do your kids need to be successful and trying to help them, grow up to be productive individuals for society and for themselves. And that's kind of hard to do with kids who they're children, right? So all they want to do is what children do, is just kind of play and have fun and enjoy themselves. They're not really focused on, you tell them, hey, you have to do good in school so you can get a good job. But that's not something that they care about, not at 8 or 9 years old. And, even if you want them to be an entrepreneur, whatever thoughts you have for them or whatever thoughts they have for themselves, trying to keep your kids focused on success is hard. And then also teaching them and making sure that they are grounded and have the right principles. And you're constantly working on all those things, but then you can't just beat them across the head every day with those principles either, because they're still kids. And so we're working through this every day, trying to make sure Blair and I, we talk a lot, and we're constantly talking, trying to think about, okay, what does each child need from us at this moment, at this stage, to be successful? And that's what we're always focusing on, trying to ensure that we're preparing our kids for a world and to be successful. We feel as though we've done okay for ourselves, and then we're trying to make sure that we're positioning them to do okay as well. It's kind of hard to do. And there's no There's no rule book. You don't know what the next day is going to bring. You don't know which decisions they're going to make that's going to change the scenario. But you just keep working on it. I was thinking broccoli, but yes, broccoli, cauliflower. The heads would be white if it's going cauliflower, but I am trying to lighten it up with a bit of a lighter green. You can see a little bit there. Just wanted to, because I was feeling like this color is so wide note, it's hard to make out what I'm making. But yes, you can just see. So what I'm doing is just adding these all the way, but I have to go all the way around. It's going to take a while. I probably will not finish that on this particular live. And I could work on it off the live, but that kind of defeats the purpose of the craft and chat. We're going to talk about it. We're talking and chatting while we're crafting here. Tornadoes, yes. I grew up in Arkansas. Tornadoes come through. Tornadoes are very dangerous. They really kind of all across the continental U.S. They can pop up all over the place. Tornado sirens. Where I grew up, we had in the town I grew up in, there was a tornado siren. At times, it would go off. There were times that we saw swirls in the air. You learn actually as you can learn what to look. They're leading into a tornado. At least in the area where I lived, there are certain weather conditions that you can look up in the sky and you can see it, you can feel, you can know when the storm had a strong potential to create a tornado. And I learned those in our area for what it was like in the area where I lived. And yeah, I had a couple rough. One day I was coming home, I was in college, I was driving home. And I was driving through the backwoods, just a real old school, rough area. Nothing outlandish, just deep in the country, deep in the backwoods. And there was a storm coming up, and I could see the spirals, like in the sky. These little spirals were like coming down. And luckily, I wasn't driving in the direction towards the spirals. But what do? You just keep driving, and I'm watching through the trees as these spirals would. That was the closest I've ever come directly to a tornado, which is really a harrowing experience because it wasn't even raining. You could see that it was a really risky period. But yeah, if you live in the U.S., tornadoes are absolutely a part of life. If you definitely live in certain parts of the country, but they can pop up literally anywhere. And then there's derechos, which are very similar to the storms that you have here in the UK, which is a lot of wind. Straight line wind storms. Those could be almost as bad as a tornado in some cases. The U.S. has some pretty aggressive weather. That is not to imply that other parts of the world does not have aggressive weather. It's not when we're talking about bad weather, we're not going to do our weather is worse. I mean, that's really kind of silly. Bad is bad, right? There are some really bad conditions all over the place. And I recently saw in Arizona, there was these massive sandstorms, and I was like, wow, those storms looked unreal, like something out of a movie. I've been in a sandstorm once or twice, nothing that bad though, but I have been in a sandstorm a couple of times. Yeah, the storms in the U.S. are pretty. Last year was really bad, with some really bad storms in the U.S. And although yes, I do appreciate where we live right now. The winters are milder, the summers are milder. I've appreciated the milder temperatures and the milder weather that we have here. I also understand why the homes here are built out of heavier materials, because the winds in the autumn and into the winter can be pretty aggressive some nights. But I do appreciate that. But it doesn't really help because I still have friends and family all living back in the U.S. So when you hear about these bad storms, me personally and my family, we may be out of harm's way. But these storms hit, all around friends and family as well. So I'm always concerned about them. So all of this time, and this is what I have. You can kind of see it just is one side of And there's still more that I want to get in here. Now, the thing about these little balls like this, you have to make sure you really go around them and connect them, because they'll look like they're connected and then they'll pop off later on. But if you go around them too much, you will flatten it. And that defeats the whole purpose of making it. So you don't want to flatten it, but you do have to go around the edges of it, really make sure it's well connected. And this is, I think I've done pretty good. Now this one is a little too big, right? I said that earlier. But yes, I still would like to have the stem a little smaller, but I may just give up on the stem and just, instead of making the stem smaller, think about going to increase the size of the head here. And just kind of work this center part here a little more. I can see now where this project is, and I can think about how much more time this project is going to take. There's no way I'm going to finish it because we're at an hour, which is really good. It's a good time to be on the live. But I say what, another hour or two, maybe, to finish this. Maybe I could get it done in an hour, maybe two, probably closer to two. And so I can work on this in a couple ways. The way I'm doing it right now is I'm doing one ball that isn't attaching, one ball that isn't attaching. I could just set this to the side and just make a whole host of, and just keep making these little balls. And then after I have them all made, connect them. There's a couple ways you could do that. I like the area where I live right now, though. It doesn't snow here very much. I always find it interesting because as I look across the winter and we're looking in the north, and I think it snowed just yesterday up in northern Scotland, up in the Highlands. I think near Inverness, it was snowing yesterday. And I was like, wow. Because earlier today, I looked up when is the first frost date for where I live. And it's between December the 1st and December the 10th. But in the Highlands, it's already started snowing up there. And I'm pretty sure it's not going to stick for very long, but still. And the reason I have a lot of peppers that I want to bring in. I grew a lot of beautiful peppers this year, and I want to save those plants. You can actually keep peppers alive more than 1 year. So I want to get them in before the first frost. I wanted to know when the first frost was. But yeah, the weather here is good. Now, I don't want to jinx it, and when we end up having a really hard, cold winter, because as soon as you start saying, oh, the weather's mild, well, I'll jinx it, right? And we'll have a really hard winter here. And I'm not looking forward to that. Our heating costs go up considerably in the winter time. So not looking forward to that either. Aga, which we have an Aga here in the kitchen, it has been off, and we're going to have a repair person come in and take a look at it. Just kind of give it a once, usually once a year, seasonal, once over, so to speak. We haven't done anything with it all year. We turned it off through the summer. But I tell you, the time of year when that Aga really comes in handy is not right now. It's when it gets colder. It has to get a bit colder. Knew it was going to happen. So I'm not going to show the blood on the screen, but just caught myself with the needle. Not too bad, though. But yeah, it's hard to do this craft and not catch yourself with the needle at all. And then, so yeah, once. If I can finish this whole session and only catch myself one time with the needle, then okay. And it happens because when I'm starting to work on these smaller pieces like this, that's when you have these problems. These balls are kind of small, so I'm having to get my fingers pretty close to the needle to hold everything in place. Yeah, if you go back and look at some of the videos on our channel from our 30 days back in the US that we did earlier this year, this summer, we ran into, although not any tornadoes, we ran into a lot of really bad thunderstorms and rainstorms and rain events. And it was a bit shocking for me. And the reason is because I have lived here for 5 years. And I didn't realize that I've kind of gotten a little unused to how aggressive some of those storms can be. But we ran into several really bad storms, especially as we left the East Coast. East Coast, we were caught in a really bad heat wave. Down in South Carolina, the weather was okay. And then we went over into Mississippi, into Arkansas, and we hit some really bad storms over there. Although, again, those weren't tornadoes. But we were watching out to make sure that we didn't run into any tornadoes.
Always favorite of the group say I. I didn't ever agree to it, so.
Nah.
I don't know.
So there we go. And this is coming along pretty good. I think it's starting to take on a bit more of an appearance. Someone in the comments asked me if I was making a cauliflower. Then that means that the general shape is recognizable. Then I was like, okay, I'm hitting the marks as far as that is concerned. I'm looking forward to traveling over the next year. I actually I mentioned I went to York just a couple of days ago, and I passed by because I was by myself. I passed by Leeds, and I looked and I saw on the map, like, wow, Leeds is pretty big. I've never been to Leeds before, and I don't know anyone who travels there, or I don't know much about it. And I was like, you know what, this is like a really big city. I'm pretty sure it is a city. I haven't looked at a map to see. I haven't looked at anything to see if it isn't officially a city. I know Doncaster is really big. I don't think Doncaster is officially a city. I'm not sure. I'm still confused about how the UK does some of those classifications on what is a city, what's not a city. But Leeds looked pretty big. And I was like, okay, that looks like I've heard of Leeds, of course. But I was like, am I missing out by not going to Leeds? Is there something there that we should go and see? It looks like a really large city because, it's much larger than York. At least according to what I saw on the Google Maps. And I was like, okay, that might be a cool place to add to our list of places to visit. Let's go check out Leeds, and maybe we can, I'll plan a trip there, maybe next summer before we get there. And there's a couple other places here in the UK that I haven't gone. There's places I want to go back to. One of my favorite trips of all time that we've had out here was to Anglesey, the Isle of Anglesey, the island of Anglesey. That was a lot of fun. We've gone to Ireland a couple of times, and I would love to get back to Northern Ireland to spend some time up there. We went to Belfast, but I've never really spent a lot of time in Belfast. I'm like, that's a place that doesn't pop up on the map very often. If there are places you want to talk about, Leeds, Belfast would be good. And then I would love to, these are harder to get to, but I would love to go to the Isle of Man, the Isle of Skye. There's a couple other ones. Old Manor Store, I think that's up in Ireland, in Scotland. And then I would love to go to, I think it's north of Scotland. I think it's called the Aran Islands. I think that's what it's called. Further north, I would love to be able to go up there. But these places are really hard to get to. It's not like I can just turn around and drive. The first thing I learned when we moved over here is the UK is much, now, in comparable size to the US, which is 3,000 miles across. No, it's not that big, but the UK is much larger than a lot of people think. And of course, people come in, travelers, they only go to London for the most part. Maybe you could get them up to Edinburgh, but there are so many other cool places that I would love to go to, especially as someone like me who enjoys outdoors and nature. But to hit some of the islands, a few more of the islands, I think would be really cool. There's just some sights, but even closer to home, I haven't done the Lake District yet. So on the list for next year is the Lake District. And I was like, well, what is it about the Lake District that makes it so special? I don't know. I haven't been there. So the Lake District is on our list of places to go and check out. But you can see And if you like, it looks kind of, you can see all these little, maybe I can't make them off, but it's kind of fuzzy. I can take care of those. I can work on it to make it less fuzzy. You see, this isn't as fuzzy. I can work on that. That's easy to do. That's kind of a finishing type thing, but I'm nowhere near that stage yet. This is still in the early creation phase. So I have this one, I'll do a line deeper here, coming down on this side, separate this. Here we are. So you can see where we are on this side, right? And I'm going to do this one just kind of as lobes. This is one, which I'm just trying to finish this one lobe. And then I'll come back and there's 1, 2, 3 more. So it's like 4, 1, 2, 3, and there's 4 different lobes. They're different sizes, but I will not do this consistent. I will stay within the lobe. And so I do want to do that so you can really so it will continue to look like cauliflower, but really I'm thinking broccoli in my head. I want it to continue to look like broccoli. Still working in this lighter color green, just kind of bring a little more color to it. I really don't like that this one is so big, it's just kind of standing out, but yeah, so be it. It's not going to be perfect. Again, this will probably just end up being a toy for the twins to play with. So I don't think that's going to be that much of an issue at the end of the day. But yeah, the Aran Islands, I would love to get up there. And I'm an outdoorsy type person. If I could, I would love to take the family. I mentioned this in another live. Love to be able to get the family out, like rent an RV and do, not this time of year, in the summer, do the NC 500, which we made it to the start of the NC 500. Was that last year? I think it was last year. We did a trip. We went up to Perth. We wanted to go to the Perth County show. And we went further north. We did go to the Perth County show. And I think we went to Dunrobin Castle, which is further north. We were up by Loch Ness. And we were further north in Loch Ness. And we ended up getting on the beginning of the NC 500, which is like a North Coast 500, like this 500 miles loop around the top of Scotland. And I can think that just to be out in the wilderness and nature like that would be a lot of fun. I will tell you, we do have a big trip coming up next year. And it is not in the UK or Europe. I want to get the family down to Namibia. Blair and I went, and I would love to be able to take the kids on safari. That's the goal. I wanted to get the kids out on safari. They've never been. To go out, Namibia is beautiful, especially to go during the dry season where you can see all the elephants around the water holes. Blair and I I always want to say it was transformative because to go out on safari like that. And then it's self-drive too, because in Namibia, you can rent your own vehicle and drive it around the country, which is what we did. Blair and I did. There was videos on the channel of that whole trip. But we went to Namibia, drove around the country and booked our own everything. We booked our own car. We booked the resorts that we stayed in. But that also meant that it was on us to get up each day and hit all of our marks. And what I mean by that is like, we're going to go here to this day. We're going to go here, but we have to check in at this other location. And Namibia is a big country. It's a big country. And so it takes a lot of hours to drive from place to place. You have to make sure that you leave early enough because you don't want to be on the road at night. It's really dangerous. There's 2 things about driving at night in Namibia. One, the wildlife is in the road and you can't see it. So you hit a giraffe, you hit a cheetah, you hit something out there in the road. People also, the Namibians, from our experience, use the road as a sidewalk after dark because the traffic just drops off to zero. Like it's a dark, dark country at night. Like no one is out there. But if you are out driving after dark, you'll be driving along and people are moving their sheep down the road in the middle of the night. Cows are moving down the road in the middle of the night. People are walking from town to town in the middle of the night in pitch black darkness. Very, very unique experience down there, but don't drive after dark. Do not drive in Namibia after dark. It's just so dangerous to be out there after dark. So you have to make sure that you hit all of your marks, meaning wherever you're going to be. You have to get there before sundown. And so I want to take the kids. Blair and I want to take the kids. Of course, if we go, ouch, that's 2 times in almost the exact same spot. If we take the kids, we don't want to take the kids. We want to go to Namibia. And then we're thinking about doing a repeat of the same trip, doing Namibia. What happened, baby? The battery ran down?
Yeah.
Oh, the battery's down. Go tell Matthew to put it on the charger. She ran the battery down. So yeah, we want to do Namibia and then go to South Africa. Head over to South Africa. I think would be cool. There are these penguins, which I didn't know that till we got down there, but there are penguins in South Africa down on the Cape Peninsula, south of Cape Town. And so I've been planning this trip for a couple of years, and we couldn't do it before because the twins were babies. And it's just like, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing a safari with babies. It's going to be hard enough to do. Oh, you came back for it. There's not much in here, just some stuff. See, you want that? Okay, you can have that. That's something that we made a long time ago. Yeah, dinosaur. Yeah, dinosaur. He growls. There we go. All right. I think I can squeeze this one in right here. I've hit myself twice with the needle, which I've been working on this an hour, a little over an hour. It's not good. It doesn't hurt that bad because the needles are so sharp. It just goes straight in and straight out. But that also speaks to the fact that I'm a little inexperienced right now with needle felting. I haven't been doing this much over the last couple of years. So 2 times in an hour plus is not good. It's not good timing on me. The thing though is that it hurts so much when you do hit yourself with the needle that it makes you not do it again. But I may be getting a little tired. I wanted to finish this low. For the most part, that's what I did. Dinosaur. There's no other dinosaur in there. That's the only one. So you see this lobe here. They still think the stem is a little fat, but we'll see. I could always come back and tighten it up a little later. I think I may go one smaller ball here. I'm not going to make that right now. I may do a really small one right there. And there's this lobe, and I could get a couple other, I may do some smaller ones like across here, right there. So I do a couple small ones right there, a couple small ones here, just kind of finish it up. And that may actually give it a bit more depth if I do a couple really. Now, making smaller balls is even harder because you get too small, the wool just won't have anywhere to kind of extend into itself. It gets really hard to make them if you make them too small. But I think I can make a couple small ones to go right along the edges here. I'm not going to do that right now. I'll save that for the next live. But yeah, that's where we're going to stop. A little bit over an hour in on this live here. I think it's pretty good. And then do the small ones around the edges and then do this lobe and then the next one, which I may break this one and I may do another line. I may do another line right here. I'm not too sure. I may leave it or I may do another line on it. No, go put it on the charger. The battery's down, baby. The battery's down. But this is it. It's coming together. It's coming together. It's not done. So you really, it just looks like still like a blob, but it's coming together. All right, that is it. We have to get dinner going. It's getting a little late. What time is it? Yeah, it's a little late towards the evening here to get dinner prepared. Make sure we're prepping up for tomorrow. Start out today. As we talked about, all the kids, they all have their own needs and requirements. The boys have sports tomorrow. Blair and I, of course, have work. The twins have their whole day. So everyone has to get prepped up for tomorrow. So what I should probably do, advised, is if I stop this project right now and come back to this on another live. I appreciate everyone who jumped in the live. Be prepared to jump back in with me Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It will be one of those days. Typically, next weekend will be pretty busy. So it may be Sunday before I'll be able to jump back in on the live again. Friday, I think we're gonna be busy. Saturday, I know we'll be busy. So it may be Sunday before I can get back in on the live again. If I can jump in at any time during the middle of the week, then I would jump in during the middle of the week and work on this project a little bit more. I have some polymer clay projects, but I think I'm gonna just ride this one out on the live until I get this one completed. You can see though how long it takes to do these projects. No, go put it on the charger, baby. No, you can't make it turn on. The battery's down. Braden, don't throw it on the floor. The battery's down. Here, go put this upstairs in my room.
Yes, sir.
Take her with you.
Where can it go?
Go tell. Yeah, put that in my room, but take her to the living room. She doesn't understand that the battery's down. So since the battery's down, it's just not going to work. You know, she is only 2. She's a good little 2-year-old, but you know, they get frustrated when they don't get their way. But I can't control it. She's running the battery down. I'm going to probably continue on the live until I get this project done. I can also embed a magnet in these. Now this one's going to be a little too big, but I could put a magnet in this. I could put a magnet in this and then stick it to a refrigerator. It becomes like a refrigerator ornament, but it's a little too big. You can tell it's going to be too big for that. Originally started as a pumpkin, but I can still compress this down a little bit more on that stem. Still think I would like to have that stem be a little tighter. I can work on that later. So I appreciate everyone jumping on the live. Again, if I can get on during the week, I will, but probably anticipate another Sunday live next week. But thank you all for the conversation. Talk to you soon and have a good week. Everyone, have a good